BIRRARUNG, Manningham's Aboriginal Sites by James Poyner. In traditional Aboriginal Australia, the territory of every tribe was centred on a permanent water source, usually a major river catchment. The BIRRARUNG was, therefore, the traditional land of the people who now refer to themselves as Warrandyte. The river forms the northern boundary of the present-day Manningham municipality, so a great deal of traditional tribal life occurred along and adjacent to the river. Manningham has some archaeologically significant sites, where artefacts have been found, and a number of other sites known about through local oral history. Starting at the western end of the municipality, the junction where the Coonung Creek meets the BIRRARUNG in Bulletin was a traditional gathering place, especially during the eel harvest season from mid-February to mid-March each year. The area that now features football ovals may not look too different to how it did 200 years ago. Many early settlers and explorers described the landscape as being like an English gentleman's estate, which is not unlike a modern footy oval. Annual targeted burning of these valley floor areas produced designed habitat areas for animals and plants. These habitat areas were most likely kangaroo, emu, possum, grass seed and murnong farms. Best described as farms without fences, these open areas would have no undergrowth or understory, but trees every 25 to 50 metres, providing shade for the larger animals and ideal stalking positions for hunters. Flat areas would also be cleared for grain and murnong farms, with grasses preferred by kangaroos encouraged to form grazing borders. Just north of this area, near the present-day Veneto Club, was the Bolan Billabong, a traditional duck hunting site. There is a circuit around it that has some interpretive signs and is well worth taking a stroll. Further north again, where the Caltex petrol station used to be on the corner of Bridge Street and Manningham Road, there is a 500-year-old red river gum. You will see some large holes higher on the tree trunk. These were originally outgrowths called burls, and each was harvested to make a large wooden bowl called a tarnuk. In the Heidi Museum of Modern Art car park is another 500-year-old river gum, from which a canoe was cut. This tree is now named Yingabeel, song tree, in recognition of its significance as not only an important scarred tree, but also as a marker on an important songline through the area. Following the Templestowe Road songline to Finns Reserve, you can view a 200-metre-long rapids area that was a series of fish, eel, yabby and freshwater mussel farms. I estimate there are about 20 similar sites along Manningham's stretch of the BIRRARUNG. However, only one has been formally identified, at Laughing Waters, near the end of Alexander Road in Warrandyte. A couple of 100 metres from Finns Reserve, near Foot Street, was the location of an Aboriginal camp. Middens were observed along this stretch, and an oven pit was carved into the mudstone. The campsite at Foot Street was abandoned in 1848 because a local settler, John Hughes, was in the habit of taking pot shots at them from the window of his hut up the hill. Unfortunately, the oven was buried when Foot Street was built over the creek in 1963. There was also a burial ground nearby, which was disturbed during the construction of Williamson Road in the 1880s. John Hughes was not the only settler who seemed to enjoy taking potshots at Indigenous people. The first settler in the Manningham area, Major Charles Newman, had a turf block hut at the junction of Mullumbullen Creek and the BIRRARUNG. He later built his homestead, Pontville, in the same area. Pontville still stands today, and with the land of Tikalara Park now part of Yarra Valley Parklands, it is possible to get up close to what is regarded as the first permanent house in the Templestowe-Doncaster area. While Pontville is not indigenously significant, it is still of notable cultural and historical significance. Pound Bend area in Warrandyte was also an important gathering place. In Pound Bend State Park, there are some interpretive signs about Wurundjeri culture that make for a rewarding self-guided walk. The area, part of the former Warrandyte Aboriginal Reserve, is known to be the site of the last great Kulin Nation corroboree in March 1852, organised by Simon Wonga. Two markers, one at Taroona Reserve and one at the end of the boulevard North Warrandyte, mark the eastern boundary of the Warrandyte Aboriginal Reserve, which covered 1,908 acres and was centred on the Pound. Along the riverfront at Warrandyte Township, there was an extensive aquaculture area. 4-foot-high weir walls with sluice gates and races were built in the rapids area, and the middens observed along the banks were a testament to the freshwater mussel and yabby farms there. It is known that a birthing place was somewhere near the Brushy Creek Junction in Wonga Park, and this was indicated by a ring marker tree that stood some 400 metres away. The marker tree has since fallen and is on private land. While the exact site of the birthing place is not known, it would not have been at the flood-prone river junction. It would have instead been on higher ground, a couple of 100 metres from the BIRRARUNG. William Barrick, the most famous Warrandyte elder, clearly identified Brushy Creek as his birthplace, so it's a pity we can't identify the exact spot and provide some interpretive signage. About Jim. Jim Poyner is a local historian with an interest in Aboriginal history. His family first settled in the Manningham area in the 1800s. Memories at Pound Bend. St Stephen's Anglican Church, Warrandyte, is conducting a special service at Pound Bend on Sunday, June 1, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Come and hear from guest speaker Jim Poyner, local columnist and historian, who will talk about the history of Pound Bend, where the Wurundjeri people held their last corroboree in 1852. The service will encourage reflection as we recognise Reconciliation Week in line with the Anglican Church of Australia's 2025 theme of hope. All are invited to join in the variety of activities and a sausage sizzle. No cost, but please bring a chair. Other Hope 25 activities planned for this season can be viewed at the St Stephen's Facebook page and website, ststevenswarrandyte.org.au.